everyone, and welcome back to the Nova Project. I'm your host as ever, Pubminay, joined once more by, let's face it, my co-host, the Obsidian Nook / Petal ASMR. I can say hello.
Hello.
Hello. Once again, depending on whether or not I put the other review up yet or not, we unfortunately lost a couple of files, so we are improvising our review. Today we are doing Scream 3, the sequel, finally, after a long enough delay, because we did not want to do this film because it's stupid.
I wanted to do it, but it just when winter and it's cold and you do it more in the horror season in October.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So it didn't really feel like with the weather and it didn't really feel. But then it's when was the last time?
That and we've been bouncing in between things like Netflix, Prime, that sort of stuff. We've still got Prime. We're going to keep that going, but we're going to keep that going for a long while now, hopefully. So pardon me, Stasi, will you please be quiet? Stasi's here as always, assumingly. Keep Prime going, but we're going to bounce between DVDs like we used to do when we're not covering streaming platforms. So Scream 3, the sequel we have been dreading for a good while now. For good reason. I did not remember it. Well, I remembered the stupid things they have in this film. You took a breath like you were going to say something.
No, I was going to say, because it's been that long since I last watched it. I think it's been over a year.
Probably.
A couple of years since I pulled out the Scream DVD.
Well, whenever we covered Scream 1 and 2, to be specific.
No.
Do you mean before that? Before we were reviewing it and you were just watching it for leisure?
Call me what you
Usually
want.
it's Family Guy she has on.
Shit. The other one, last time I watched it on my own,
More than likely.
so it's been a couple of years and obviously I've forgotten. And now that we've watched it again, I was like, oh, it's
Yeah, this is the...
that Gale's.
Yeah, the haircut has been on your mind for a while.
It was a really
Do we want to get this point out of the way before we go into things, so you can have your little ramble about it?
It was like some really bad bang.
It was like bangs, but really short on the front.
Google
Scream 3 Gale.
Gale, you will see how bad her haircut is.
It's very for the time, I think, that haircut. Yeah. But Gale's hair was the least of this film's problems. Let's begin with the voice modulator that magically gets everyone's voice and can be used seemingly at will by... No. I think there's a voice thing that they use for Ghostface. But in this film, it's changed so they can use anyone's voice, depending on what's convenient. Even if they, it perfectly matches someone's voice, it's literally them speaking.
It hurts me that you see that.
We have to, though, if we're covering the rest. We don't want to watch it, but we have to. Today.
No, it pisses me off because, I think they should have stopped on that
One. Yeah.
and instead they did another one, and then Steve generates
I think her name is. I'm terrible. We haven't covered those films yet. We will get round. Yeah. And as an advocate for free speech, I think that's bullshit of them to do that. But anyway, the voice modulator in this film is stupid. They somehow can get people's voices and then use it perfectly. There is no distortion or anything. It sounds exactly like that person's voice. You would think even AI now can't perfectly replicate someone's voice. It always sounds a bit off.
It's
Scarily, it's getting there. But that is used by our killer, Roman, the movie director, who I made a fair point where during his reveal and his stupid villain monologue speech. Did Sydney even meet him in this film? Because she mostly she's in her house on the phone, like her crisis helpline. But I don't think she ever actually met Roman. So he has this big connection that gets pulled out of his arse that he is secretly her brother. But she's never met him in the film. So this random stranger, she has no idea who the fuck he is, just appears and goes, "I am your brother," like fucking Darth Vader. Like, it's such a stupid twist that just felt really ham-fisted in for no particular reason. It's just like, hello, I am a character in this film that was dead earlier.
It's like they keep like
the twists in the sequels get more and more convoluted.
kind of
Nothing can top the original. Yeah, that's our main problem, is that the sequels get more and more convoluted with their twist, especially this one, this random fucking guy who's now, like, Sydney's brother. And the Scream 4 killers are basically just Stu and Billy from the first one.
film within a
Yeah,
and
this film is fucking stupid.
character still get one because
Based off of how they die in the script. It's strange. But going back to the fact that Roman fucking dies earlier in the film, supposedly. I can't remember her name. Jennifer? The movie... In a movie gale, she finds Roman's dead body inside of the, like, trunk and checks his fucking pulse. I'm not the first one to point this out, but she checks his pulse. So she would either know he's still alive, or somehow this twat has stopped his pulse. So, how? How does that make any
It
fucking...
doesn't. It's about when it went on to one of the scenes. Oh, that was it. The photographs that they took.
Oh, the photographs of Jennifer, where she very conveniently has stood right in the exact same spot of the pictures of Sydney's mum. How convenient. Which then makes them think, oh, she was also on the set of the film. Well, the same, like, Hollywood studio, like, lot. Like, fucking come on, mate. Fucking... It's so, like, the logic is, it's very forced.
Gail had so much time. The killer literally got knocked out down the staircase.
Kind of. She sort of moved and
He had like time to take off the mask. Little like it was like when he went back into the house to read the script that was being faxed.
Yeah, the script was getting faxed over. We'll talk about that in a second, because we need to talk about that kill. But, the forced plot is very, very strange. Like, people are just conveniently where they need to be, and the killer is always there. But, going back to the knocked out, like, ghost face, if you remember the last film, just after the cop, just where they crash the car and that cop gets his head impaled with a pole, because of Ghostface, and they climb over his like the Ghostface body.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that bit, and then they run off up the street, and then they go back because they want to see his identity, and then by then he's gone and he kills that woman. Like, then they could have A, disarmed him, or B, took his mask off and found out who he was.
Oh, 100%.
That's the problem. Well, of course. But when you look at it from a logical standpoint, like we do, because we have to when we review these, and you fucking hate how logical I get with things, it doesn't make any fucking sense. But... and also, the crime of killing off Cotton as well, that's what really nags me. He can be our worst kill, by the way. We discussed this earlier. The fact that he had his big redemption arc at the end of the last film, where he is revealed not to have killed Maureen Prescott, and actually saves Sydney's life and gets the success he wants. And then, at the start of this film, he dies. It felt like there was no point to his character other than being a red herring. Like the fake-out killer, like most of the cast in this film. And there is a lot of that in these films, and I get it, but it's literally butchering the character and having him die because of that stupid fucking voice modifier. It just nags me. But going, as we mentioned with the gas, the house with the fax machine, that is stupid. They're desperately trying to see what the script says to find out what happens next. And they're in there, they're reading it. One of them runs back in and he looks at the fax machine and he can't read what it says. And he runs into the kitchen, grabs a lighter, he lights it, and on the page it says, "Whoever smells the gas first." And then absolute annihilation as his entire house explodes.
Explosion, like...
The explosion looked practical. It was a fucking good explosion. And that guy that's a fucking big death for a bloody Scream film. You never get many of them where it's just this big over-the-top explosion of just a fireball. But it's the fact that he could have just ran in, grabbed it, and ran back outside, where I think Jennifer also had a torch. So the fact he had to go into the kitchen and light... I know he didn't know about the gas, but come on. You think the killer's in there? Don't go back in the house, mate. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, this film is just full of, like, weird creative decisions. A lot of forced plot points. A complete waste of Lance Henriksen and fucking, Liev Schreiber as Cotton there. It's just a shame. That's why it's taken us so long to get to the sequels, because there's so much that... Excuse me, that irks me about it. It's just like, what were they thinking?
I even got pissed with it, because I was like...
Yeah, it did get fucking boring. And the fact they had about 2 different, like, locations to film on. It was either... Well, that's about 3. And it was like... Lance Henriksen's character's house. The, like, Hollywood studios. The police station. That was about it. But... I don't know, considering the last 2 weren't terrible, it's a shame that this one's kind of shit.
Yeah, but do this to the original. They go and butcher it. Like Mean Girls. And yes.
You will never let Mean Girls die.
I will mention it again and again. Basically, Tina Fey was like, fuck the original audience.
Yeah, that's the problem, is they isolate their original audience. I said this to you when we were talking about this earlier. It's like they're isolating their old audience who are loyal to it by trying to appease to a new crowd that may not actually fucking like it. But yeah, other than that, I don't think there's anything else we can really say. This film was shit. It was such a strange choice. Like, there were so many things that they could have done differently, and I don't know why they chose to do that thing a certain way. But... it's stupid. And there's the whole bit where they bring Jamie Kennedy back as Randy on a videotape conveniently. And he's like, any of you can die. And then none of the main characters fucking die. I had the same issue with the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World prequel, Dominion or whatever it was called, where I was like, this film is gonna fucking suck because no one dies, or I'm gonna be impressed because they killed someone and then they don't kill anyone. We will get to that film soon, do not worry. We've still got about 3 more films to get through. Jurassic Park 3, World, and then Fallen King, yeah. And then we'll get to that film, which we may like more. But anyway, we will cover those films in due course. But for now, thank you ever so much for listening. I've been your host as ever, Purple Minute 8, joined again by the Obsidian Nook / Petal ASMR, whose links you can find in the description alongside all of mine. And we will see you next time.